Joanne from ArtResin. So if you've worked with resin before, you probably know it loves warm temperatures. In fact, you get the best results when the resin is able to cure in a space that's between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 to 30 degrees Celsius. In the wintertime though, it can be challenging to keep your workspace that warm. So over the years, I have seen a ton of creative solutions, but recently I saw a brilliant idea on Reddit. I'm going to link the original post in the description, but basically it was for a super simple DIY resin hotbox for curing projects in cold weather. I loved it so much, I had to build it myself and share it with all of you. So I've got everything I need here. Let's get started. The materials to build this are really easily sourced online, and you may already have some of them at home. So the first thing you need is an insulated box. I've got an insulated food delivery bag here, and this one is 10 by 14, but they come in a ton of different sizes. If you need something bigger, you can use a wooden box or a plastic tote and line it with the silver insulation bubble wrap that you can find at hardware stores. Now, the heat source in our hot box is this Reptile heating pad. This one is 8 by 12 and it's low watt, only 16 watts, so it doesn't use a ton of electricity. And what I really like about this one is that it's got an adjustable control knob, so you can adjust the temperature up to 108 Fahrenheit or 42 Celsius, which is more than warm enough. Now, I know a lot of people are already using these Reptile heating pads, placing the resin objects on top to cure. Resin loves warmth, but it also loves consistency. And the thing that's always concerned me about using the heating pads in this way is that you're creating a hot spot at the base of the mold, while the rest of the mold is exposed to cooler air. The temperature is totally inconsistent. And what I loved about this hot box is that it prevents these inconsistencies in two different ways. Let me show you. Okay, so I've got my box expanded and we're ready to go. So instead of putting my Reptile heat pad right on the base of the box, I'm going to create some airflow underneath. And this is important to prevent overheating and a possible fire hazard. So what I'm using is a wire baking rack. The original poster suggested using rubber feet, but I already had this on hand. It's important to note though, if you do use anything from your kitchen for resin work, you can no longer use it for cooking or baking. So I'm going to put this right in the base of my box, and then I'm going to put the heating pad on top of the rack. There we go. All right. So remember, we don't want to put our silicone mold directly on the heating pad, so we're going to use a wire rack. And this one is great because it's got fold-out legs, so it's going to create a lot of space and air circulation. So that's going to go in next, right on top of our heating pad. There we go. Now, we don't want to put the silicone mold on top of the rack because it may not sit flat and you could get indents as well from the wire. So it's really great to have an aluminum tray like this. Not only will it allow the mold or your project to sit nice and flat, but it makes it super convenient to lift your piece in and out of the hot box as well. So choose one that's a little bit smaller than your box so you've got room for your hands to maneuver. There we go. And the last thing you need is a temperature gauge like this one, and this will just allow you to monitor the temperature inside the hot box while your resin is curing. So we'll just pop that one in. Okay, so we're all set inside, and now we're just going to zip up the box around the sensor cord. So I'll just do that. Now, the last step is to set your temperature. I've got this one set at 95 Fahrenheit. It's not going to get that hot inside the box, but that's why you have the thermostat, so you can just peek inside and see what the real feel is. When I tested this out at home, I had it set at 95 in my basement, which was very cold, and the box heated up to 75. So just to give you an idea of how effective this method is, we're currently in a room that is reading 68.5 Fahrenheit, and the Reptile heating pad is set to 95 degrees Fahrenheit. And we're just going to take a peek inside the box to see what the thermostat says. So we're reading 80.6, and this is about 10 or 15 minutes that the box has been zipped up. So if our ideal temperature is between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit, we're sitting at 80 and we're in a really good place. So as I mentioned, I did try this technique out at home in my very cold basement. I made 2 coasters using the same batch of resin. One I cured inside the hot box, one I cured on the table right beside the hot box. And I kept going and checking the temperature. The hot box consistently maintained a 77 degree Fahrenheit temperature throughout the evening, whereas the one on the table registered only at 61 degrees Fahrenheit. In the morning, the coaster in the hot box had cured perfectly, whereas the one on the table actually was still liquidy, and I had to bring it upstairs to finish its cure. So a huge thank you to the person who posted this idea on Reddit. I think this is a technique I will continue using, and I hope you give it a try as well. I think it really makes a difference to help cure resin projects in spaces that have trouble maintaining a consistent temperature during the winter. As always, if you have any questions or you have any tips on curing projects during the winter months, please leave them in the comments below. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and we will see you next time. Bye!